Salam yogis and yoginis. Hello, welcome back. This is part 2 of a video dedicated on bandhas. If you haven't watched part 1, I recommend that you do so because it's going to explain some of the feeling that I suggest to explore while we are practicing the bandhas. But in this video, we're going to go into the practice. We're going to explore different ways to learn how to apply the bandhas and what they can do for us. And we're going to also do one kind of meditation with the breath that actually creates naturally the state of bandha within our body without requiring any effort. And that's really interesting, and I hope that you can enjoy that part of the practice as well. Let's begin with the bandhas, with the Mulabandha. We'll begin with that one. In order to do that, I'm going to do a few drawings. Actually, I'm going to do one drawing that puts the body, the human body, and we're going to be exploring how the bandhas are affecting our physical body. And then there's going to be an energetic aspect as well. I already talked about this in the other part. So again, if you haven't watched the part 1 of this video, I suggest that you do so. So the part 1, I wrote bandhas here, so that I already have. So in this part 2, we're going to go into the physical part. We're going to explore the physical aspect of the applying the bandhas. So now I have to be like careful on how to draw this, because my drawings, sometimes they are nice, sometimes they are a little bit, I don't know, very creative. So this is our pelvis. We're going to have a bone coming down here. All right. It's just so that you can see what I'm drawing here. Let me put a few of the vertebrae from the column. The spine is passing through here. There is a natural curvature. This is the lumbar region, yeah? Then it would go up. I don't want to be, like too exact doing this drawing. But it's something like this. So there would be like a lumbar region. I don't know how many, more or less like this. There would be. I didn't count them. Okay, so this is my my approximation of how it is. Don't take it too literally, because I know my anatomy is not fantastic. But okay, more or less, I think it's an approximate idea. Yeah. So there's this little curve here, there's this little curve here, there's this little curve here. This would be the thoracic, and this would be the cervical vertebrae. And yeah, so here we would have the jaw. So the upper. I'm very silent today, but I'm very concentrated, trying to make it appropriate, the drawing, more or less. Okay, this is my skeleton. It looks like a drawing from, how is that called? Halloween. I could have done this video on Halloween, now I'm thinking, but I will not delay it. I will just publish it when it's done. All right, so let's go into the Mulabandha. So when we talk about Mulabandha, we talk about the lower part of the body, And when I was talking about the video on the grantees and the locks, I mentioned how there is like 3 areas which are being locked. Let me put it in yellow so it's not too big. And this would be the lower cave, and this would be Brahma. This would be Vishnu, and this would be Shiva or Rudra. Yeah, this would be the grantees. Yellow, yeah, and these are the 3 grantees that are affected by these 3 bandhas. It looks like it's leaning forward a little bit, but my intention was to make it vertical. So I'm just gonna like move it a little bit like this, so it looks more vertical. That looks better, yeah. Like this, it was like falling a little bit. Okay, so let's go for Mulabandha. And so Mulabandha operates in the region of Brahma Granthi. And well, I'm going to utilize also another reference, this book, Asana Pranayama Mudra Bandha, Swami Sajananda. This is from the Bihar School of Yoga. I think we have the little logo here. I don't know. Here. I know, JK Publications Trust, it says, but this is from the Bihar. Here it is, Bihar, yeah? From the Bihar School of Yoga, and it comes from Shivananda. These are really, really good books. I love the collection of books on this. They are good, modern translations of the classics, and interpretations and understanding, and bringing yoga to the masses. Yeah, it's opening up these ancient teachings into, these books which have become very popular. And for any medium to advanced practitioner, I think they are quite essential to have in your library a few books of this on different aspects of yoga. This one particularly is like the little Bible, because it's really quite thick. Asana Pranayama Mudra Bandha. There is one specifically for Mulabandha. I think that's really, really good book, so I recommend that one as well. But this one is enough because it contains the basics. Now, when you go into Mulabandha, in this book, it's gonna need to zoom out a little bit. So, when you go into Mulabandha, it talks how the Sanskrit word mula means root. Yeah. So firmly fixed, source or cause. It refers to the root of the spine or the perineum, where Muladhara chakra, the seat of the Kundalini, the primal energy, is located. Mulabandha is effective in releasing Brahma Granthi and for locating and awakening Muladhara chakra. For further details, refer to the Bihar School of Yoga publication Mulabandha, which I was just mentioned. I think it's a red book. Really, really nice book. So, firmly fixed and root, and here talks about Brahma Granthi. So you see, I'm not making it up. You can find this idea about the Granthis and you can find it in classical texts. I'm not making anything up. Please check my sources. Don't just believe me. Do your homework and look for this information yourself. So this, when in the practice, there is a location, there is a drawing for the location of the point that we are trying to stimulate for men and women as a different point, slightly different, because, this area is quite different in us. So in the men and the women will be slightly differently located. Basically, in the woman is more deeper inside. But it's basically, it should be like the area of the perineum, which is between the sexual organs and the sphincter. And that's the area that they say about perineum contraction, yeah? In the woman, it should be a bit further deeper inside. So this is the point that we are specifically relating it to Mulabandha. Here they talk about in stage 2 of how to do this. We will do this in a moment, but in my own way. So in the beginning, the anal and the urinary sphincters also contract, but as great awareness and control is developed, this will be minimized and eventually will cease. Ultimately, the practitioner will feel one point of movement against the heel. Against the heel because we are sitting probably in Siddhasana when they talk about this, which the heel is touching the perineum. So it would make sense that you feel it in the heel. Yeah. Now, this is how it is described in the book. However, the way we practice it in the Kundalini Yoga tradition, we actually do allow and we actually encourage the contraction of the sphincter and the sexual organs as well. And not just to learn it, but as the whole lock. We call it, like all of it, we call it the Mulabandha. But it would be nice to make this distinction. And in the classic tradition, in Hatha Yoga, when we talk about Mulabandha, it would be just the isolated area around those muscles in the perineum, and so activating Muladhara more explicitly. Because yes, the sphincter and perineum are very connected. That's very much first chakra, but sexual organs are already connected to the second chakra. And when we go into the navel point, that's already going to go into the third chakra. So in the Kundalini Yoga tradition, when we say Mulabandha, we're actually stimulating the whole lower triangle. So remember that there's an energetic triangle of energy. Let me put it in light blue. I don't want it to confuse, but this is like the lower triangle, which Brahma Granthi is the knot of Brahma is not granting access to, okay, Granthi, the knot, does not grant access to the cave, to this cave here, Bija cave, yeah? There's Hridaya cave, the heart, and then this is Gyang Guha, the cave of the wisdom. This would be the higher 5, 6, 7 chakras, yeah? And in the middle we have the heart. These are the lower triangle, heart, and higher triangle. So the difference mainly is that in the classic Hatha Yoga tradition, we would stimulate only the area of the perineum. But in the Kundalini Yoga, we emphasize the whole lower triangle. So I was just going to go on from here with the whole lower triangle. So the first would be the sphincter, then would be the perineum, which I already mentioned what it is. Then it would be sexual organs, which can be more down here, more forward if you're a man. Let me just put it around here. And then the navel point. Navel point is a few fingers below the physical navel. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sphincter, perineum, sexual organs, navel point. All right. And if you follow through this line, let me make it pink. If you go 1, 2, 3, 4, this arrow is going to be very significant to the practice. You will see. 1 will be the sphincter. The 2, the anal sphincter, yeah. 2 is the perineum. 3 is the sexual organs. And 4 is the navel point. And the 4 of them in this order, it's not only increasing the pressure going up from first to third chakra, but also look at the movement of the body. There's going to be a movement here in the pelvis. We're going to go into the practice in a moment, but just I want you to notice one thing. If you're contracting from here to here, something is going to happen in the actual pelvis and the spine. So let's try that. Okay. Now, in the proper practice of bandhas, we should learn to differentiate different muscle groups. I think this is good awareness of our physical body. As yogis and yoginis, we need to learn how the body works. And this is key for some practices like breath of fire. And Mulabandha is one of them. So even though we do all these 1, 2, 3, 4 in order, I would suggest let's explore first to do it separately. And then you can learn how to do it all together. And this will be difficult for many people, and it will take some training. And that's fine. That's part of the yogic process, to train yourself and to learn to differentiate these parts of yourself. So let's start with just the contraction of the sphincter, the anal sphincter. So concentrate on the area, and it's almost like you are going to toilet for number 2 and then you want to stop it. So without being more visual with the language, I will just say it in that way. So just concentrate on the sphincter and just contract and release. Contract and release. Contract and release. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, 10 is enough. Now, maybe you're aware, maybe you were not aware, but sometimes when you're contracting the sphincter, other muscles contract as well, namely the perineum and the sexual organs. And you have to be very aware of that and learn to separate them and differentiate them. Let's go for the second region, that's the perineum. A lot of people are unaware of these muscles, and many women have to learn it the hard way, namely when they are pregnant and when they give birth and after birth, to find, again, strengthen the tone of those muscles. There are very specific exercises for the women who are called Kegel exercises. I think Kegel, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And they are taught by, all over the world by gynecologists, but they are really borrowed from yoga, basically. And they are helpful, they are really good. But how about we learn to do them anyway, men or women, because they are useful for us. These are very much stimulating the perineum, which is where the Mulabandha resides. Now, if you are not aware of where is this, in the privacy of your own home, when nobody's looking, you can just put a finger, because in the other book says the heel of the foot, if you are sitting in Siddhasana, but you can just put your hand and just press a finger in the area between the sphincter and the sexual organs, and just feel that contraction. Now, for a woman, even in this book, it suggests you can even introduce the finger a little bit inside the vagina and contract on that area. So make sure you are contracting the right spot. That's the way it's described. I think it was in this book or the other book, the red book from Bihar School of Yoga. Anyway, you can just do it from the outside if you wish. Just touch with one finger, or if you have good sensitivity without touching, and concentrate only on that region, and make sure that when you are contracting that region, you are not contracting the sphincter, the anal sphincter, okay? So just concentrate and contract. The perineum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, contract, release, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And probably you already became aware of whether you can differentiate the sphincter from the sexual organs and from the perineum. And if you didn't differentiate it, then practice this exercise and learn to differentiate these things. Let's go for the third part. Remember, 1, 2, 3. The third one, that would be the sexual organs. That's the when we are going to, for number 1, the toilet, you want to pass urine, and then when you want to stop the flow of urine, then that's the muscles that you contract. So that's number 3, the third point. Now let's stop the flow of urine now, and let's do it again 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay? You are maybe feeling already something strange. The energies are starting to move. So that's part of what Mulabandha is doing. The fourth point is the navel point. So that's it's not a navel, it's a navel point. So find your navel and then 3 fingers below the navel. Navel, 3 below. From that point, contracting inwards. It's not on the outside, it's like 2-3 centimeters inside. That's the navel point, so contracting and release. Contract, release. Contract 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And relax. Breathe deeply a few times. Make sure your belly button moves when you are breathing. Long, deep breaths. These exercises are always funny when I teach them in a class because the people get very serious. Like contracting the anal sphincter, they get really serious faces. You don't have to be so serious to practice it, but that's something that always happens. So that's kind of funny to see. All right, let's do the Mulabandha now in the Kundalini Yoga way. All right, so contract this through the numbers, okay? Color by numbers. Number 1, sphincter, perineum, sexual organs, navel point. Release. Sphincter, perineum, sexual organ, navel point. Release. Sphincter, perineum, sexual organ, navel point. Release. Okay, relax for a moment. It is possible that this was difficult. If you cannot differentiate the different parts, it will feel like everything was kind of being squeezed. But if you do this in this order, it's more useful and it's training your body and awareness. Now, we will do it again, and just speaking while you are relaxing a few breaths, we will do it again. But now pay attention to one thing. The contraction, and then pay attention to the release of the contraction, because I made a strong point in the other video on how important it is the moment you release, what's happening, how you are feeling. So let's be aware of that now. So let's do it simply without the breath. Just don't worry about the breath, just contract. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and release. And the feeling is a little bit strange. And the thing is, because we are trying to move prana, and prana is directed through the breath, this is why in yoga we recommend the practice of Mulabandha through exercises which combine the breath. So let's do it with the breath, holding the breath. Now that we have explained the whole process, we can do it quickly with the breath. We will do it with the breath held inside now. So inhale deep. Hold the breath and apply 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. And release. And be aware of the release. We'll do it again. Do it with the eyes closed. It will help you to concentrate. Okay? Inhale again. Hold it. Sphincter, perineum, sexual organs, navel point. Hold it. Mulabandha. Keep the eyes closed, release it, and notice the feeling. And you may feel some fresh feeling going up the spine when you are doing that. When you are doing it, there's like the pressure, and when you're releasing, you may feel all this surge of, I don't know, let's just call it feeling. Yeah, that's the energy is going to be moving, and there's going to be this fresh feeling going upwards in your spine. So that's Mulabandha. That's the practice of Mulabandha. That's the way we generally teach it. Now, before we do to Uddiyana Bandha, though I'm going to write it here. Sometimes it's written with 2 Ds. Uddiyana Bandha. Before we go to this one, let's go to Jalandhara. Jalandhara Bandha. So let's find this lovely book again, Asana Pranayama Mudra Bandha. Let's skip this one for a moment. Let's go to... Oh, did I skip it? Oh, it was before. Oh, it was before. Okay. So Jalandhara Bandha. So let's see what they say about what it means. The Sanskrit word for Jalan means net, and Dhara means stream or flow. Again, we're talking about a flow, yeah? You remember the letter D? He was talking about a flow. One interpretation of Jalandhara Bandha is the lock which controls the network of nadis in the neck. The network of nadis, yeah? Because he's talking about net, yeah? The physical manifestation of these nadis are the blood vessels and nerves of the neck. An alternative definition is that Jal means throat, Jalan, water, and that Dhara refers to a tubular vessel in the body. So Jalandhara is therefore the throat lock which holds the nectar or fluid flowing down to Vishuddhi from Bindu and prevents it from falling into the digestive fire. I talk a lot about this in the videos on the Granthis, I believe it is, and the video on the Kundalini Upanishad, how there is this Amrit that is flowing down from Bindu, back here, and the throat, depending on what you do with the throat, you're going to catch that nectar, or it's going to go down into your belly and it's going to be falling into the digestive fire. So this is happening with Jalandhara Bandha. The third meaning is Adhara means base or substratum, and there are 16 specific centers in the body called Adharas, which refer to the major and minor chakras. There's many more chakras, yeah? There's many little ones as well. Jalandhara Bandha may also be defined as the practice that locks the pranic network on the neck and directs the flow of subtle energy from this Adhara to Sushumna Nadi in the spine. Okay? Rather than avoiding the energy from going into Ida and Pingala, rather than that, you direct it into the Sushumna. And that's happening through the Jalandhara Bandha. Now, there is a difference in the way they practice it in the Hatha style tradition, again, and the way we practice it. Here, they bring the chin to the chest. What we often do is bring the chest to the chin a little bit, shortening the distance between the chest and the chin. So it's like raising your chest, opening your chest. But the basic idea in this one is the way we teach it in Kundalini Yoga. Very often they talk about how this point, the chin, is brought in and back. I don't really like to use this description, and yes, it happens, but I don't really like to talk about the chin, because then what many people do is this. They do this. Now that's not Jalandhara Bandha. That's just locking the throat, and that's even harmful. I think that's putting tension that is not necessary. What the other aspect that is happening, and that's the one that I like to pay attention to, is that the crown, this is the crown, is pulling upwards. So I'm thinking about this more like a puppet. And every puppet has a string on the crown. And imagine that you were pulling from that string, which is going to create this movement of the head. It's going to go in that direction. It's going to be moving like that. And yes, when the head is being pulled from the crown, the highest point, because it's not in the middle, it's a little bit more like that, then the head is going to tilt a little bit, and so the chin is going to go in. So the chin is moving. But if you move from the chin, you're going to be locking yourself. And if you are pulling up from the crown, puppet style, then you're going to get the right projection. So it's like, you can think of it more than locking the neck, elongating the space of the nape of the neck, the back of the neck. If you try to elongate the back of the neck, that's going to bring the crown towards the heavens, and that's going to automatically put the chin in the right position. And this is what we call Jalandhara Bandha in Kundalini Yoga. And I understand that this is different from Hatha, where they actually bring the shoulders up and the chin down, because they are making this closure of the vayus and the movement of the energy in the body much more explicit, and that's specific for some practices. But the way we teach it in Kundalini Yoga is that you hold Jalandhara Bandha in most postures when you are not bending the spine. If you're not doing something like Cat and Cow, you are going to be holding Jalandhara Bandha naturally, always there. So there's always this little position, a little bit of it. And that's going to happen. It's very interesting. They teach about this in music, in classical music as well, going back to music. When you have an opera singer and you look at Pavarotti, yeah, you will not find him projecting from the chin, singing, but actually doing Jalandhara Bandha. So it's not like, not like that, but like, yeah? When you bring the chin in and the crown up, somehow the projection is much wider. So what's happening is that the space in the throat opens up. You increase the capacity of air to flow through the throat, and so the projection of sound can be increased. Also, the flow of blood can be increased through the neck, because the veins, the arteries are opening up, and so the flow of blood is increased to the brain, which is good for us for meditation. So we want to increase the blood, because more oxygen is going to be more awareness, and so it's also going to bring more energy. There's a lot of nadis coming through, especially the most important, and so we want to open up the passage of Sushumna. So that's what we are doing with this. Very interesting that the position of the body for mantra for chanting in classical music and the position of the body for meditation, they are very, very similar, if not the same. So let's see. Have you tried the puppet string? Now try it. And then when you do this, pay attention to what happens with the chin. Yeah? Pull up now from the top. Notice what happens in the chin. And now look at the diagram. Because what these two things are doing is, when you are bringing the chin in, these are the new vertebrae. Like that. So this curvature, natural curvature of the spine, gets more rectified, and there is much more of a straight line now. And now with this movement of the pelvis, the same thing happens. This rotates, so the vertebrae rotate, and now they are much more in a straight line. In Spanish we say, una postura correcta tiene la columna recta, right? So it's a correct posture, has a straight spine. So what we are saying is that with the right approach of Mulabandha, which is also held just to be sitting up, the spine is going to be more straight. With Jalandhara Bandha, the spine is going to be more straight, and therefore the flow of energy is going to be much bigger through our spine, and there's going to be through the nadis, yeah? And so a physical effect is going to have a strong impact on an energetic level. So that's, I hope, interesting that these two are they are actually like pulling the spine, like doing this movement and pulling the spine from both sides. I learned about this concept in a nice book from Prem Singh, Guru Prem Singh. It's called Divine Alignment. He teaches a lot about postures, and he teaches about how these two bandhas are pulling the spine from both directions to create a straight spine, and that increases the flow of energy and therefore also Kundalini through the practice. So that's very interesting. Now Uddiyana is a little bit different. If this is a vertical projection, Uddiyana, there is an opening and expansion to the sides, but that's going to happen naturally through the practice of it. Now, I'm writing in red the areas that are being affected. Now, what is Uddiyana going to be working on? Our diaphragm, which is this muscle sitting below the sternum, and the lungs are on top of it, next to the heart. And this is the diaphragm. This is the muscle which mainly controls the breath. So this is the muscle that is going to be stimulated through the practice of Uddiyana Bandha. And that's a very strange muscle to move, to learn to do this practice. So to learn to do this, there is a posture that has been designed that is specifically useful for that, which is standing up and bending with the hands on the knees. That's going to make it more easy to practice. So what is going to happen is that if we are sitting up just to hold the spine straight, there is a lot of muscles here which are being in tension, and that creates tension in the diaphragm, and it's difficult to move the diaphragm the way we want to move it. What effectively we want to happen is that all these muscles go up, back in and up, like that, and then there is an emptiness in the navel, in the abdomen. Sorry. So let's take a look at the way this book teaches it. Excuse me. So Uddiyana Bandha. Oh, let's read what it says about Uddiyana. Very interesting. The translation of it is quite beautiful. The Sanskrit word Uddiyana means to rise up or to fly upward. And this practice is so called because of the physical lock applied to the body, causes the diaphragm to rise towards the chest. Yeah? Sometimes translated as stomach lift. Yeah. Okay, another meaning is that the physical lock helps to direct prana into Sushumna Nadi so that it flows upward to Sahasrara chakra. All right. So, you could see it like this in a sitting posture. You can do it certainly in a sitting posture, but it's easier to learn it standing up. So this is the way I generally teach it when we are doing this module in the trainings, and we do this standing up. So we're going to do it like that. And the idea is, as I said, to pull inwards all these muscles. Now, there is a very clever way to do this, very easy. And I didn't invent it. And it makes it easy because, okay, let's go into the posture. So, you stand up and then you put the hands on the knees. So you're bending forward, like this. And if you are on your knees, pressuring on the knees with the hands, that's going to support the weight of the body. You should feel the abdomen very loose and very relaxed. Now, I have to say, generally we do this, well, we always do this practice with the lungs empty, with empty lungs. So we're going to practice that with empty lungs. And the way to learn this, actually, it's useful to try to first close your nose. So let me sit for a moment, but stay in the posture. So if you try to inhale, but with the nose closed, the feeling inside the body is going to be the same feeling of Uddiyana Bandha. So stay in the posture. And now inhale deep. Exhale. Now close your nose and try to inhale. Release the nose, inhale. Exhale. Notice what happens in all the abdomen, all the abdominal muscles, and particularly the diaphragm. So, without air, close, try to inhale. Again, inhale. Exhale. Exhale, 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 exhale. Empty, no breath. Close the nose. Relax the nose, inhale. And exhale, relax. For a moment, I forgot to mention something. I was just remembering now, pregnant women should not practice this. And this holding of the breath and this particular pushing, I guess if you are pregnant, you would have felt it already. If not, my apologies. I should have said it before doing the exercise. But we're going to do it a few more times. If you're pregnant, don't do it. Yeah. Also, like Mulabandha, if you're pregnant, you wouldn't do a strong contraction of the area. And even if you are menstruating the first days and it's painful, don't do a strong contraction. So let's go back into the posture and let's try to do this now without closing with the hand. So you close the passage within, so you don't actually inhale air, and replicate within you the feeling that you want to inhale. So again, inhale. Exhale, and try to inhale, but don't let the air come in. Relax, inhale, and exhale, and you will feel it in your muscles. But there is another way to see it, which is here. Okay. It's nicer to show the throat than to show the belly. I show the belly because it's part of, this technique is the way it's generally shown, that the abdominal area is all pulled in. But as a teacher, it's useful to see this point. If you can feel an emptiness being created here, this is the emptiness of the pressure that is created in the lungs because you are trying to inhale without air, and the right position of the abdomen will be happening. And when I say abdomen, I really mean the diaphragm. That's what I mean. Now there's something else I want you to notice. Now there is two more. There is the shoulder blades here, and I don't know here. The shoulder blades 1 and 2, yeah, and they're gonna be opening up a little bit. Let's try it again. Inhale. Exhale, and relax. So you will feel it. It's like this, this feeling like that. Did you get it? Try again. Can you try it sitting up now? Let's try sitting. Inhale, exhale, Uddiyana Bandha. And relax. The shoulder blades are sometimes called our wings. These are our wings. And very interesting, the term of Uddiyana, like to fly up. And I think this idea that this whole area is flying up, is going outwards, is very interesting, like the way the book describes. But also, I think there's something about our wings like spreading up. So Mulabandha and Jalandhara Bandha, they are a lot about our vertical extension. And Uddiyana Bandha, there is a horizontal expansion. There is these two forces happening at the same time. And when we put them all together, this is what we generally call Mahabandha, the great Bandha, which is the three of them together. So let's try that. Okay? So first of all, the posture, Jalandhara Bandha is there. Mulabandha should be a little bit active because of the posture, but now we're going to do it emphasizing it. So inhale deep, exhale, 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 exhale. One more, inhale up, exhale, 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 exhale. No air. Mulabandha 1, 2, 3, 4. Uddiyana Bandha. Relax, inhale. Close your eyes if you are with the eyes open. Exhale. Exhale, 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 exhale. With no air. Mulabandha. 1, 2, 3, 4. Uddiyana Bandha. Relax, inhale. Inhale, inhale, deep, 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 deep. We will do it one more time. Pay attention to what happens when you relax Mahabandha. When you let go, it's very important. Just notice the feeling, okay? Exhale, 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 exhale. Empty completely. No air. Mulabandha. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mahabandha. And hold it. Be very aware. Relax, let go, and inhale and notice the feeling. Just stay with the eyes closed for a few moments and just let the breath come in and out naturally, and notice the feeling in your spine. You may feel energy tingling. And relax. Open the eyes. That was Mahabandha. So there is this vertical extension, yeah? And then there is this horizontal expansion, and there is contraction, pushing up the energy. But then you are in such a contracted state, you don't feel so much what's happening, and then you relax, and then the prana flows. And this practice is a preparation for death. I didn't say that before, not to make things more light, not to get too heavy, but actually Mulabandha is helping to create the feeling of what's going to happen in the moment that we die. When we die, we want the energy to go up the spine, through the Sushumna, through all the chakras, and leave the body with our spirit and the soul together, going out through the crown chakra and into the beyond. That's the path that we want to follow the moment that we die. And so the bandhas particularly are designed to train ourselves for the moment of death, so that the moment we die, we can do that. And all that pressing up, this is like the rocket ship is like making all this fire to start going upwards into the heavens, yeah? So we are like accumulating all this pressure, and then the rocket is released, no? So when you release the breath and then you inhale, the rocket goes to heaven. So let's try one more time, and let's have this feeling of the rocket ship inside. I don't know if you can get the feeling, but let's try one more time. Inhale deep. Exhale. Exhale, 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 exhale. No breath. Mulabandha. Uddiyana Bandha. In total, Mahabandha. The 3 bandhas. Relax, inhale. And exhale. You may feel a little bit groggy, a little bit like high, like from all the energy going up. This is a natural high, and it's a healthy high. It's no drug is needed to get the high on our own feelings and our own energy. And this is a natural feeling of the energy rising. I hope you enjoyed this practice. We haven't finished because I promised something and we haven't done it yet. And let's just say, if you're going to do a lot of this physical work, do this with the empty stomach. Okay, another thing I should have mentioned at the beginning. So awareness for pregnant women not to do this when you're pregnant, not to do this Uddiyana Bandha practice, and Mulabandha, strong Mulabandha. And also, if you have a full belly, don't do these practices because it's not healthy. Yeah. Mulabandha is inverting the natural, there is a prana, there is apana, there is samana, there is these values happening here. And apana wants to be eliminating energy down. And when you're doing Mulabandha, you are bringing the energy up. So in a yoga session, we wouldn't do Mulabandha in the beginning. During the warm-up, during the first exercises of a class, we wouldn't do it because who knows how much toxic energy is in my body. The students come to class and they come with their own diet, and maybe they come from the underground, there's pollution, there's whatever, and the body is still a little bit toxic. So we do some physical work, we sweat a little bit so that the apana has an opportunity to release toxicity, and then we do Mulabandha strongly. So the more we advance in the class, especially towards the meditation, the end of the class, the more we are applying Mulabandha. Because when we apply Mulabandha, we are inverting the energy of apana, and we are letting the prana get mixed up with apanas. Particularly, we are holding the breath in. So we inhale, hold, then inhale, the prana descends, hold the breath, the apana is inverted through Mulabandha, and then the mixture of the two, prana and apana, this is a mixture that happens around the 3rd chakra, and then comes down and wakes up the Kundalini, and the Kundalini rises through the spine. This is the basic terminology of Kundalini awakening. But anyway, if you are inverting apana and you're still with toxic energy inside, you are trying to assimilate this toxic energy. That's why we don't do it at the beginning of a class. We would do these practices towards the end of a class. So if you're a yoga teacher and you want to apply Mulabandha, teach it throughout the ending of the class more than the beginning. You can do a very soft meditation, and at the end of the meditation, you can do a strong Mulabandha. And you haven't done anything really strongly physical, meditating, but you are helping to integrate these two energies and awakening the Kundalini, which, if you got a little bit high from the last exercise, you were experiencing a little bit of release of this pranic energy through the spine. So that was a little awareness that I wanted to bring to this aspect of why we do these bandhas in relationship to the awakening of the Kundalini. And I mentioned, we're going to do a little meditation now. It's not from Kundalini Yoga. This is a meditation I learned from Dr. Bowley that I already spoke in the other video about in the yoga therapy. And this is the way he taught. He says this is the way Mulabandha appeared naturally. By doing this kind of meditation, it was found that we were doing the bandhas without actually trying to do them. So I'm going to guide the meditation to you. And so if you have, I hope you have the opportunity. This whole video is about practice, yeah? Very often I go into the theory and the philosophy, and I love the philosophy of yoga. That's why I do these long videos on philosophy. And because I find there's a lot of videos on practice already in the internet, and it's collapsed with practice. But why not guide some exercises as well? And I think this is a beautiful meditation for everyone to learn. And I mentioned Dr. Bowley. He was a medical researcher who would do the practice and then experiment and see if the result is what the text said. Now, this practice we're going to do right now, which is kind of a meditation, but it's very physical. In the text in the Sanskrit said, it can correct any problem in the spine. So he said, okay, let's test it. So in his institute, his laboratory, he was doing X-ray of the spine. And then I think it was 6 months doing this meditation every day for 10 minutes or something like that, or 11 minutes. And then X-ray again. So if you are from the Dr. Bowley, I only attended one of his workshops. It was a beautiful, beautiful training. It was 6 days or 7 days. I learned so much from him, but I don't know all the details. So if you have trained with Dr. Bowley and you are aware of the details of this research, please put them in the comments for all of us to benefit. I don't have specific details. I only remember what he mentioned in the workshop, and he talked about X-rays, practice for 6 months, and X-rays, and indeed the spine was getting corrected by the pressure that's happening within the body. And he said any problem in the spine, any deviation like scoliosis or lordosis, there are different problems, but they are all getting corrected through the movement of the spine. And this is something interesting that is taught in Kundalini Yoga. We talk about how in some cultures, particularly some tribes, maybe in Africa, where they put these big jars and big heavy things on top of the head. There is these beautiful ladies with their dresses carrying these heavy weights on their head. And he says that these tribes, they have no back problems, none of them. And it's from this, holding these heavy weights somehow is stretching the spine, and is very healthy too. What is happening is that you are strengthening the little muscles that hold every vertebrae. Yeah, there are little muscles in every one of them. So you are pulling the body up, but not from the abdominal muscles or from any other muscle in the body, but actually all these little muscles get engaged, and the vertebrae separate, and they push one from the other, releasing the pressure in some nerves. So it can help for people who have, for example, feeling of dizziness, like tingling in these two fingers, that would correspond, or they fall asleep, that corresponds to pressure into vertebrae here. They get squished together, maybe from lifestyle, or maybe you did particular, from deterioration of the vertebrae. And so they are too squished. So this pushing of the muscles helps to release tension. This is all to try to explain the science of how this exercise works, but let's do the practice. This is the most interesting. So sit in easy pose and close your eyes. And for the moment, just bring your awareness inside to your breath. And notice how the breath goes in and out. And as you are breathing in and out, just notice how, if hopefully you are in Jalandhara Bandha, yeah? The crown of the head, a little bit up like a puppet, remember, the string. But be aware of that point, the crown, the highest point in your head, how tall you are, yeah? The highest point in your body, actually. And notice when you are breathing naturally, in and out, that point goes up and down. When you're inhaling, the point goes up a little bit and goes down a little bit when you exhale. And that's natural. Your height changes as you breathe in and as you breathe out. So the highest point in the head, in the crown, goes up when you inhale, down when you exhale, and that's natural. But now with your own awareness, make it so, decide that you're going to let the point go up when you inhale, but you're going to let it stay up when you exhale. So be aware of that point. It's something very soft. You shouldn't force anything. You let it nicely, softly, go up when you inhale, and then stay where it is when you exhale. And then inhale, it goes up a little bit more, and then let it stay where it is when you exhale. And maybe it does drop a little bit, but you don't even notice. If it does, you imagine it doesn't. Your visualization and your feeling and your will is that it stays up. So keep inhaling up, holding the point where it is, exhaling, don't let it drop. And every time you inhale, it's going to go higher and higher and higher. At the beginning, it will be maybe even 1 or 2 centimeters. But now after 8 or 9 or 10 breaths, maybe it's moving only a fraction of a millimeter. But every time you inhale, 1 fraction of a millimeter go up. And then on the exhale, it stays up. And it's a very particular feeling that you're getting taller and taller and taller. Very relaxing and meditative state. Concentrating, going up with every inhale and stay up on the exhale. Ideally, you are sitting, but whether it is on the ground or a chair is not important, but it's important that you are not leaning back on your chair, that you are with the spine straight up, as best as you can. The feeling is almost like the head wants to float into the heavens. And now while you are in that state, in the highest possible position, the tallest that you have ever been in your life, staying up there for a moment, notice what happens in the lower part of your body. There is a natural Mulabandha happening there. You didn't have to force it. You didn't have to lock anything. You didn't have to put pressure anywhere. You're not contracting all the muscles, but somehow Mulabandha is right there. There is an emptiness below, and this feeling of height, elevated. Feel that point in the crown, and slowly when you exhale, now let it come down a little bit. When you inhale, it goes up again, but then on the exhale you let it come down now. You will inhale and it will go up a little bit, But then on the exhale, slowly let it come down as much as it wants. And slowly you will come back to a natural rest position. And in the middle, in the center, in a relaxed position, inhale deep. And exhale. You can open your eyes. Welcome back to the world. I hope it was an enjoyable practice. Write down in the comments how it was for you. Did you manage to get the feeling of going higher into the heavens? How was the practice of the bandhas? Did you get the energy flowing through the Sushumna? What about the moment of release of the bandhas? How did it feel to you? I would like to hear your comments, your voice on how it was your experience. I hope it was a pleasurable one. Take care. If you practice this, you can listen to the video again if you want. When you practice this, remember not to eat anything before. And if you are a lady with a menstruation and you are painful, during those days, don't do a strong bandha practice. But this is bandhas in itself. This is the essence of bandhas. I think I covered most of the important things, and I hope it was useful, particularly useful to the person who asked for this video, which was cut into two parts because I knew it was going to be a long video, so it's cut into two parts, but I welcome any comment on that. And thank you very much, and until next time, Sat Nam.